2025, are you ready to rock? Dave's Killer Bread is ready to rock 2025 and your reset this January with killer taste, killer nutrition, and a killer sweepstakes to win a VIP concert prize pack with round-trip airfare, luxury hotel stay, and much more. Text RESET to 73876 and enter for a chance to win. Dave's Killer Bread. Bread amplified. No purchase necessary. Visit daveskillerbread.com/reset for details.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Hark, 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 dude. Hark, 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 dude.
Radio.
Hark, 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 dude. Hark, 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 dude.
Radio.
Sack. Sack. Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so much for
It's
joining
just me.
us.
It's just me.
You're listening to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Who the hell are you talking to? There's nobody in this place but me and you.
To all the listeners out there in Listenerville.
Oh, are we live? You didn't do the thing.
What thing?
The countdown, the thing you do when I'm over here and I'm working hard and I'm getting stuff ready and I'm flying paper airplanes with our topics over to you, and it hits you in your big belly because you're over there on the computer doing your computer thing, trying to get websites fixed.
Yeah, that didn't go so good.
And you didn't do the thing.
The thing.
Yeah, you know, the light. You turn the light on and you say, "We're on the air in 5, 4," and then you silently do your little sausage fingers.
Oh, that thing.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to do that thing.
Yeah, the thing Sacco usually does, but he's not here again this week.
That I couldn't fix.
We got spoiled. He was here last week for about 30 minutes. What was that?
Nothing.
And now I miss him.
I miss
That
Sacco.
furry little guy.
You know, it's one of those things.
I hugged him with my shirt off, and his shirt was off, and it was like Velcro.
I remember I actually had to cut you two apart.
Yeah, remember all those little... Yeah, but see, here's the thing. But you spent the first 3.5 hours trying to literally untie every strand of hair.
It wasn't easy, I'll tell you what. It was... It's almost like... It was almost like knitting in reverse.
Right, that's a great analogy. That's a great analogy because we were like a fuzzy little blanket.
You were like an Afghan.
Right. Well, no. Ken has nothing to do with this.
Ken's not
okay,
Afghani.
I don't understand. Oh, I thought you said African.
No, Afghan.
I thought you were being
It's a type of blanket.
I thought you were being a blatant bigot once again.
No, that was earlier this week.
That was earlier today. So Luke Skywalker's hanging from the bottom of Cloud City, and
just look at it.
one-handed, and Lando Calrissian flies up in the Millennium Falcon, pops the hatch, and Luke says, "Don't take my wallet." I mean, come on.
That's not exactly how it happened.
In essence.
I was summing up the end of Empire Strikes Back, and I was saying, think about it, right? This kid had a really bad day.
Right.
His friend's frozen in carbonite. He finds out that one of the most evil people on the planet is his dad.
Right.
He cuts his hand off afterwards.
Right.
Now he's hanging under a floating city.
Uh-huh.
he sees in the distance the Millennium Falcon.
Uh-huh.
He thinks it's his friend who's come to finally save him, right?
Right, and then he realizes it's been carjacked.
And then all of a sudden the hatch opens, and it's some black guy in a cape who's like, no, you can come to me. And he's like, I was just waiting for the bus. I don't know you. It's a little weird. I'm pretty sure you're going to be wearing his clothes soon, which he does in Empire.
Uh-huh.
Lando's wearing Han's clothes. So
That's
I'm
true.
just saying that would be a weird thing. I just want to know what you think about my my idea for a new pancake.
What's that?
I told you, Black Lives Matter.
I don't like the batter.
Why?
It doesn't taste right. I don't think that it.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that it fits.
I just think we could do it to raise money for inner city kids.
Look,
you
I'm
can
all
have-
for that. Look, I am all for helping
Right.
inner city kids, and I am.
I
But
just
Black
think-
Lives Batter doesn't make any sense to me,
Because it's pancake batter.
right?
So Black Lives Matter.
So we're going to teach them how to make pancakes
Yeah.
and sell them.
Yes. No. The proceeds
Here's
from
why.
the
So why
proceeds
not?
from the sales.
Hang on a second. Why not Black Lives Batter and
talking-
it's waffles?
We're talking
Hang
about
on a
this the
sec.
night of the mistrial from the Freddie Gray trial.
Hang on a second. It's Black Lives Batter,
Yes.
but you make waffles
Okay.
instead of pancakes.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because pancakes, you're bringing out your whiteness.
Oh,
Right?
I'm so sorry.
You make waffles and you sell chicken.
Wait a minute now.
What?
I need a ruling on this.
Have you ever had chicken and waffles?
I love them.
It's
I
delicious.
love them.
Then what do you need a ruling on?
My favorite part is I told Big Fat Polly,
big fat Paulie who's died.
who's died on us. We've told you about Polly. I told Big Fat Polly about my idea, and he immediately turned around and he was like, read that slowly out loud to yourself.
Uh-huh.
And I said, yeah, I have no problem with it. He's like, what does it insinuate? Well, I don't know. He's like, Black Lives Batter. I was like, oh, no, I totally get it now. It insinuates good eating. Nice, tasty food. Like, I had no problem with it whatsoever. And he's trying to tell me that it could be taken another way. And I just don't think that's
What
right.
other way?
That it could, the assumption that black lives abuse other people.
I would have even thought of it that way.
Exactly, right?
But see, this is the thing with Paulie. Big fat Paulie is a closet racist.
Warehouse racist. He won't fit in the closet.
Yeah, big fat old Paulie. He is a closet because he comes across like a liberal.
He sells himself.
Zaxby's Sensation Salad is so much more than a plain old salad. It's a salad, which begs the question, at what point does a salad stop being a salad and become a salad? Is it when you add Zaxby's fried chicken to it? Crunchy wontons? Asian slaw? Citrus vinaigrette? Teriyaki glaze? Sweet and spicy sauce? Or is it when you top it all with a handmade perfectly fried egg roll? Without a doubt, the egg roll. The Sensation Salad, only at Zaxby's.
What you're hearing is Hardy Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardy knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardy products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardy.
He sells himself as a liberal.
That's my favorite part about Big
He
Fat
thinks
Polly.
he's a liberal because he grew up in the Bay Area and Marin County and blah, blah, blah. And he was by San Francisco and, his mom was his dad. I don't know. But he sells himself as a humongous liberal, not in size, but just a big liberal. But then he can take something as innocent and nice and sweet as Black Lives Matter
I'm trying to raise money.
and turn it into a racist thing.
Exactly.
Because why would his mind go there?
Why would you even think of it, right?
Right.
It's horrendous. And that's what... But, he kind of sums up a lot of liberals.
Right.
He really does. He says all these great things.
Uh-huh.
Peace, love, and happiness, blah, 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 blah.
Uh-huh.
And then he comes out with something like that. where he just assumes the worst in people, where we assume the best.
Right, most of the time, unless you're a jihadi.
So I'm just saying, I think that Black Lives Matter, all proceeds go to inner city youth foundations, and it's a way to change that movement
I
to a
think it's
positive
our
thing.
own inner city youth foundation because I don't know where some of the funds of the other ones go.
Right. No. We could direct the money.
Right? And not to anywhere that has like gun bans.
No. Actually, I think, honestly, it's so funny because you talk about programs in inner cities, and we're going to talk about Freddie Gray in a bit, so this will curtail eventually.
That's not the federal program with housing and stuff.
No.
Right? like the loans.
Like Freddie Mac. Whatever. Excuse me. But, one of the ones that I used to love to see, and they used to do it a lot more, is the Police Athletic League with youth. Mm-hmm. Where you'd have law enforcement coaching kids. Mm-hmm. They'd have all these different teams. Not only was it a safe place for kids to go and learn and play a sport, but it was also a great way for those kids on those teams to meet those police officers when they're not in uniform,
right,
and understand that they're human beings and they're fun and they have kids and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's something that where I grew up, the police athletic leagues were everywhere.
Not so much out here,
and you don't see it out here. And I think that's a huge waste.
Are they still everywhere back east?
They're still pretty prominent in the Northeast. You see it a lot more. And I think that's something we talk about, money and inner cities and trying to get to kids, and kids and sports go hand in hand. I mean, anyone who has a kid under 18, on some level, most kids love a sport, one or another. And it's not just baseball. I mean, the sport variety is huge.
Really? Like what?
I've seen volleyball. I've seen baseball. I've seen football, basketball. I've seen golf.
You totally missed an opportunity. You could have done it in the Bubba voice. We got all kinds of sports. We got basketball sports. We got golf sports. We got baseball sports.
Sorry, Bubba
We got
Gump.
bowling sports. I mean, you could have gone on and on. There's outdoorsy sports. You got fishing sports and shooting sports and hunting sports.
Now, all right. I don't want to jump.
Cars.
I don't want to jump topics.
Sports shorts.
But Ralph, who's
sports
newer
bras.
to our chat room, Ralph asked a question in the chat room about the pancakes and the batter.
The waffles.
Would it be racist if you put Aunt Jemima syrup?
No, that would be funny.
That would be outstanding.
Yeah, so Ralph, you're new, so welcome.
We could call that sweet social justice.
You're new. Hang on a second. We think you're new, so welcome, and thank you for the excellent point. But we have a segment that we like to call racist or funny, and everybody gets to vote on what you say. So we're the final arbiters, and Aunt Jemima pancake syrup for a waffle batter to raise funds for inner city youth I don't think is racist at all. I think it's funny.
I think it's absolutely funny. So I appreciate the feedback, though. So, but I really think that one of the biggest disconnects we have in a lot of big cities is people think that the cops are these horrible human beings who are just stormtroopers in uniform that go out and bring bad people to jail, right?
Or good people to jail.
Or good people, all people to jail.
Right. Oh, they bring all people to jail.
And
they bring black people to jail.
Right. And that's a horrible message that gets sent. And a lot of these kids on the inner city, that's what they're raised to believe by their friends, older brothers, etc.
How many guys do you talk to where they're telling stories where they've worked inner cities or they've worked bad neighborhoods and they say they've been flipped off by a 5-year-old kid?
Oh, yeah.
Cops that you and I have talked to several times, friends of ours and so forth. Who act like it's
no big deal to do it.
Yeah.
So it is. So I think that's something we talk about inner city programs, and there's all these social justice, blah, 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 and bullshit outreach, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's something that if you bring that back and you expand that throughout the country, that you absolutely would have a better chance with the next generation of children coming up to understand our cops a lot better. And I think that's something that we should look at.
Yeah, and getting them into an activity, which we know is huge. Right.
Yeah.
So not only bridging those gaps between the community and law enforcement, but also
get those kids involved.
Getting those kids involved in something.
Yep, and it shows discipline. It teaches them to work out and have fun. It's a good outlet for energy.
Teamwork.
Absolutely. Teamwork, positive environment. All those things would come about. And I'll tell you right now, too, another program that I think loses in inner cities a lot is music programs in school. There's been studies upon studies upon studies that children who grow up playing music, especially in inner city schools, excel
Yes.
in their schoolwork afterwards.
Particularly in math.
Math is insane because music is all math. Writing music and reading music, math is a huge part of it. And it helps wire that brain to be able to learn unbelievable amount of things, which is why a lot of our quote-unquote best brains in the world had some sort of musical inclination. Now, it was lost on me because I grew up playing music, and that didn't work so good. But I am the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, you are.
I appreciate you trying to come up with something positive.
Yeah, I was going to come up with something positive.
No, there's nothing there. I'm a moron.
I was like, yeah, no, but you're like a really good eater. I mean,
I wonder if there's a correlation between music and eating.
I don't know. I think we should do a study. Speaking of eating, we had dinner tonight.
We did have dinner tonight.
And you tried to make me look like an a-hole.
Well, normally that's your job.
You tried to make me look like an a-hole. So we're leaving. Well, first of all, we get there and sit down, and the lady says, your server will be Barbara, I think was her name, right?
Our favorite little Italian restaurant.
Our favorite little Italian restaurant, yep. And we said, I said, whoa, Barbara, can we sit at another table? And the lady looked horrified. She was like, oh, and I was just,
So the hostess was telling us that the waitress named Barbara would be helping us. And Clint essentially just said, no, she's terrible.
Right.
Clint has no idea who Barbara is.
Right. But she looked horrified. The hostess looked horrified, and then I laughed at that. I'm just kidding, and sat down. And then
Zaxby's just out Philly the Philly again. The Zaxby's Chicken Philly is back with garlic aioli, sautéed peppers and onions, decadent melty cheese, and your choice of Zaxby's signature crispy chicken fingers or delicious grilled chicken. But it's only back for a limited time, so enjoy it while you can. No pressure. It's just the greatest sandwich of all time on a ticking clock. Order the Chicken Philly today. Who's got the sauce? Zaxby's.
What you're hearing is Hardy Fiber Cement Siding living up to its reputation as the siding that helps resist weather damage, no matter what Mother Nature throws its way. James Hardy knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a home builder. That's why Hardy products withstand the elements better than wood-based siding, with styles to match their strength. Because when home builders work with us, we deliver our best so they can look their best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardy.
we ate, and it was nice, and Barbara was great, and then Sean made her feel bad because she forgot to bring the bread. And this is like a family-owned Italian restaurant,
yes.
little place. Literally been
the
there for a
owners
couple
speak
generations.
Italian to each other, like
right.
There's a thick accent still, etc.
So Sean said, "Can we have some bread, please?" And she says, "Oh shit." And turns around, like doesn't say I'm sorry, not oh yes, I'll be right back. Just oh shit, and walks away and brings back the bread and like throws it.
And never even tried to apologize. That was the best part.
No, not at all.
I loved her for that.
But you could tell she felt bad.
Oh yeah, no, it was a complete.
Yeah, it was a complete innocent. It was
for
awesome.
For those of you on the East Coast, it's very normal. Like shit, and just walks away, gets him, comes back, tosses him on the table.
Right. And that's the apology.
The oh shit is the apology.
Right.
I screwed up, oh shit.
Right. So, and I get that from dealing with you.
Right. Right.
And you get that from growing up over there. So, at the end of it all, we go up. I pay because you didn't have your wallet with you again.
Oh,
and then,
what?
And then...
I thought we weren't lying. I thought we weren't lying.
Don't try and cover this up.
I thought we weren't lying.
Well, I can't help myself sometimes with this. So walk up front, and now I'm taking a mint. And I'm grabbing one mint for myself, and I'm grabbing one mint for my buddy, for Sean. Because I'm thinking about the guy. Because I know from eating with him not only numerous lunches and coffees and dinners and show events that he enjoys a mint or a toothpick or something after his meal. And he walked right by and didn't grab one. So I grabbed two. And the lady, bless her heart, the owner is up there at the front register, and I have my hand in the mint jar, and I'm pulling two out, and Sean says, whoa, what are you trying to steal? And the lady gets like this ninja look on her face and grabs a stapler and gives me the look of death, and he says, ma'am, he's trying to steal all your mints. and I have to show her that I have 2. Meanwhile, Barbara comes out.
Right. The waitress. And she's looking like she's going to back up the owner and kick my butt for theft or something. I don't know. She just had that look on her face.
Right. And like I'm the one who's embarrassed, and you do this to me so often.
And we go there all the time. That's the best part.
Right.
That's one of our stops. We have our same routine of spots before we go, and that was one of the ones we like to go to. So it just struck me. It's not, and
so then
anyone who listens to our story knows that normally Clint's the procrastinator. I mean the instigator.
Yeah.
I was going to say protagonist, but
you didn't know what the hell you're talking about right now. Just say a-hole. Everybody knows what you mean.
Yeah.
So
a-hole with the nose.
So yeah. So then I say, wait a second. This from the guy, and I look at Barbara and I said, now I'm going to tell you a story. I wasn't going to say anything. I said I wasn't going to say anything because you're very sweet and I didn't want to hurt your feelings.
I didn't want to hurt your feelings.
I said, but when the hostess sat us, I said, my friend right here, the fat one.
You did say fat.
I did say fat. I said, my friend right here.
Which people give you the best look when you call me fat to my face.
Oh, it's awesome, yeah. I said, he said, we don't want Barbara because she's horrible. And Barbara looked horrified and looked at him like he was the biggest jerk. And then she said, oh, shit. And she turned around and started to laugh. And I looked at the owner and I said, and ma'am, I apologize so much for my friend for trying to make a scene. And she said, it's okay, sweetheart. You take as many mints as you want. And I said, I was trying to grab an extra one from him because he needs the calories.
Apparently.
And I apologize for my friend's behavior and for his rudeness, Barbara, even though you didn't hear it. So
even though you were lovely.
Right. So if you can extend that along to and then Sean walks out and goes, how do you make me look like the a-hole?
Oh, man. That was pretty freaking funny.
I just got an email comment.
Okay.
I got a comment saying that we're gay because I got my man a mint. Now, I have to kind of scold our new listener.
What month was that?
Because I have to scold our new listener because obviously this person doesn't realize that we've taken back the hate.
We have to. And gay means happy.
Gay means happy.
That's
so
right.
If I'm being called happy, I'm going to take that. And yes,
I appreciate
I'm gay.
that.
I am the gayest person on the microphone right now. You cannot get any gayer than I am at this moment right now. If you look up gay in the dictionary, it's happy, and I'm gay as fuck right now. And I'm going to own it. And we've taken back. Why does the gay people get to say that's negative? That's not negative. That's beautiful. Happy. It's wonderful.
What month was that email sent from?
No, it was live. It was right now.
Oh.
Yeah. That's not an old email.
Oh, okay, good. I just wanted.
I mean, it may be an old email.
Joe says it should be that you got my bitch a mint.
So I had dinner with this skank, and
Clint can use email. He can't respond. He can only read.
Which is actually true.
Exactly true. If you want to email Clint, it's clint@shrmedia.com.
They know. I get them.
Moving on to the big board of topics. What do we have up first today?
So we have a small segment, but I read this. Todd Starnes wrote an article about a school district that actually did away or censored Charlie Brown Christmas cartoon.
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
Oh, this was the surprise Sean segment. Did I not tell you?
What the hell?
You know the part where Linus reads from the Bible about the true spirit of Christmas?
Yes.
Yeah, totally cut it out. Not allowed to show that part of the cartoon.
Are you out of your freaking mind?
I'm not. This school district is at Johnson County, Kentucky. They censored the school's presentation of A Charlie Brown Christmas.
I am beside myself right now.
This is so ridiculous. So schools now, you can't sing Christmas carols.
What district is this?
Johnson County, Kentucky.
I'm getting the email for the superintendent.
Yeah, do it. So I love the school my kids go to because they sing Christmas carols. They say Merry Christmas. They don't care. It's awesome. They have a picture of George Washington praying at Valley Forge up, and It's a great school, and no, it's not a Christian school. But so in another school, the Christmas Carol Silent Night had to be replaced because it was Silent Night, and the song was replaced with a Christmas version of the Whip Nene song.
Are you kidding me?
No. I didn't know. Yeah, no. I didn't know that. So that was the W.R. Castle Elementary School. They were directed to that's the school in Johnson County. That's where they had to remove the Linus scene where he read from the Bible, the Gospel of Luke, about the true meaning of Christmas. The superintendent is Tom Sawyer, Tom, and then last name Salyer. If you want to send him emails,
and I can give you his email right now. It's
not threatening or anything like that, but let him know what you think.
It's Thomas Thomas Salyer Salyer at johnson.kyschools.us. And that's where you can send that email to Superintendent Salyer.
Salyer. Salutation.
So why can't he just change his name to Smith at that point?
I don't know.
But that listen.
Here's his statement. He posted a message on the website, and it says, quote, "In accordance with federal laws, our programs will follow appropriate regulations. The U.S. Supreme Court and the Sixth Circuit are very clear that public school staff may not endorse any religion when acting in their official capacities and during school activities." How is leaving a frickin' scene in a cartoon an endorsement of anything? It's not like the school is standing up and saying, today we're going to read from the Gospel of Luke, and this is what you're going to say, and you're going to accept Christ as your Savior.
Right. It's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon. Nobody's standing up there and as a representative of the school endorsing any religion. And playing a cartoon is not an endorsement of any religion because it has a scene where Linus is reading from the Bible.
We've got so hyper friggin' sensitive in this country.
We have. Look, I want everybody to review the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
Congress shall make no law.
Right.
Regarding the establishment of religion. Congress. Not a school district, not a state, not a city or a county. Congress. It restricts Congress from saying our national religion is X. Doesn't say anything about the states. As a matter of fact, the 10th Amendment gives the power to the states to do what's not prohibited
under the Constitution.
Under the Constitution.
That's right.
And guess what? The First Amendment does not prohibit the states from establishing a formal religion. Not that any would, not that I agree they should, but constitutionally, they're not barred from doing so.
Well, and
the case law that's taken place since then has been flawed on that basis.
Well, and I'm looking, this is why I love our chat room, is because when we talk about stuff like this, they just go off the hook. First of all, Unpleasant Blind Guy, Agador, Dave Milner.
Can he even see what I'm talking about?
He sees your point here.
Okay.
He said CBS was originally nervous about the scripture reading when they presented the cartoon in 1965. But there's a story that Jersey Joe posted in the chat room that there was a school district in Brooklyn, or I should say a school in Brooklyn, part of the Sunset Park Schools, PS number 169. Principal Eugene Kim had banned Santa.
Yes.
And anything related to Christmas, but the district had overturned her. The district itself had overturned her. So every once in a while...
but that was recent, because the earlier article that came out in the week said that...
This was from the 14th.
Okay, yeah. So there was an article, and I think I have it in my notes here, but it came out prior to that. It came out on the 13th. That said she banned not only Santa Claus, but the Pledge of Allegiance also.
Yes.
And there was no Thanksgiving. She called it a harvest festival.
Yep.
And there were winter celebrations, no Christmas parties. And she also did some wingnut stuff, like she threw out a bunch of books because she didn't like the curriculum in the books.
Did she burn them?
Maybe.
Did she have like a big book burning ceremony in the
I don't
courtyard?
I don't know. Is she being investigated as a potential intelligence operative from Red China
I don't know.
or from North Korea? I don't know.
Yeah, Kim. I would bet she's North Korea.
Could be.
The Department
Any
of
relation?
Department of Education said that Santa Claus is considered a secular figure, so he was allowed. But holiday symbols such as Christmas tree, Hanukkah menorahs, the Islamic star, and the crescent are also permitted.
Permitted?
Permitted.
So then crosses would be as well,
I would say so, right?
right?
The crucifix would certainly,
Or even just a cross.
yeah.
Well, you know what? Why is it? Here's what I want to know.
And that may not have been pressed because this is just a released statement.
No, I have something here, Sean, and I didn't even think about this. But I need to file a complaint. I do not want my kindergartner learning how to write the lowercase letter T, because it looks like a lot of Christian crosses and symbols right across that entire page. How is it a public school can get away with teaching children to write just a page after page of practicing crosses, Christian symbols all over it? Clearly they're trying to indoctrinate them so that symbol is burned into their mind. We need to stop the lowercase t, folks, and you heard it here on SHR Media, the Sackheads Radio Show first. We're starting a new campaign. We're up against a break.
We have to stop the lowercase t.
When we come back, Homeland Security has a brilliant new idea, folks, and we're going to discuss it.
All that and more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you stick around.
Stop T.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
It helps when you hit the unmute button, folks.
How's that meant?
The commercial didn't play. I don't know what the hell happened. Where's Sacco?
Blame Sacco. You know, Sacco can actually get in through the computer. Right? I've seen him do this. The commercial didn't play?
The commercial didn't play.
What kind of rookie are you?
It's supposed to...
This is why you shouldn't be over at the freaking soundboard.
When I spent 2 hours a couple weeks ago after the show...
Hang on a second. My screen's showing that the commercial played. So I don't know if maybe
You're
the audio
looking-
was messed up at home.
You're looking at a chalkboard.
That is not a chalkboard. That's a dry erase board. I dare say whiteboard, but I don't want to be accused of being a racist.
Oh, man. Homeland Security.
Oh, they
Who
nailed it.
blanked out our commercials this last break.
They nailed. Now, true story. Do you remember a period of time we would get on a certain topic and we would lose
Oh, yes.
power?
Oh, yes. Power and internet.
Power and internet would go down.
For about 4 months.
Yeah,
And
every
it was-
time we broached this one particular topic.
And it was never the same time period. It was
Yep.
never the same, but it was always the same topic. That was the only common denominator. And our listeners from way back in the day, if you remember that, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was very strange that we would absolutely, our internet would dump or we would lose power, and we'd lose it for like 15 or 20 minutes, and it would just come back.
Yeah. When they figure all 4 of our listeners were no longer listening. I think that was back when we had like tens of listeners. Or 10 of listeners. And all of them were, I think, in Okinawa at the Marine Corps base.
Steven still listens. Good friend
Steven.
of the show. Good friend of the show.
Yep.
Still thinking the world of that guy. He was, you know what's so funny is you go back to like some of our early listeners, and for people that don't know, we literally started with nothing. And now we have next to
literally,
nothing.
now we have an empire.
Yeah, now we have an empire. But one of our first listeners, and I won't say his last name because he asked me not to, but was listening from a Marine Corps base in Okinawa, Japan, and actually became a good friend of mine as a result, and had other guys on the base listening, and it was that was one of those things that.
What was awesome is when you ran the because we had a way to track the stuff. So you'd run the numbers. You say, "How are we big in Japan?"
We're huge in Japan,
and I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, "Yeah, nice joke, jackass." You're like, "No, seriously, look at these numbers."
And it was.
Steven single-handedly imported us into Japan.
We were part of the second wave. Now,
Second wave.
Oh man, but yeah, so that's something, when we talk about when we do this show long term, I always think of that as, hey, you know what? We have to keep doing this because we have this guy who's serving our country over in Japan who would take time out of his week to listen, and sometimes live. And the time change, I can't even remember what it is off the top of my head. It was in the middle of the morning, I think, after he worked all night. He'd stay up to listen to us. So I just thought, to me, that was always something that was really touching, and it really meant a lot to me. But go ahead.
No, I was listening to you because I remember exactly when that was and kind of going through that, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal to both of us. And you're the social media guy and social butterfly. I'm not. But yeah, it's pretty neat. So, but I want to get to this story because we've BS'd enough. I think this show so far, people are like, really, just quit being jackasses. Which brings me to another story. So, how we are on the air is pretty much how we are with each other off air. Okay. So the feds officially updated the terror alert system.
Yay!
Which is good.
It needed to be done.
It needed to be done. So. I want to read you what they did and kind of get your reaction because I had a certain reaction. Now, when I heard they were going to do this, I was thinking, okay, perfect. They're going to go back to a color system, right? Like, hey, we're green, we're blue, we're yellow, orange, red, whatever it is, because that can flash up. Meaning, flash it. Hey, I know that red is bad.
Right.
Right. Red is bad. Orange, that's not very good. Yellow, we should always kind of be in the yellow, right? We should always kind of be in the yellow on guard. But orange, bad. You want to update it because you didn't like the Bush era system? Fine. How about just green, orange, red, or green, yellow, or whatever? But color system, easy, readily identifiable. You don't have to read a bunch of stuff.
Magenta, cayenne, all of those.
No, because that's one.
Salmon.
That's already in one flag, and it represents something different.
Okay.
Yeah, you have it hanging up in your garage. Anyways, so I was thinking along those lines. That's not what happened, because that's something. Look, a lot of folks. I think that's something that's readily identifiable. People could look. Oh yeah, okay, I can get that. Color coded, very simple. Okay, it conveys a whole lot of message without a lot of words. But that's not what they're doing.
Well, it simplifies things.
Very, very much so. That's not what they're doing. But they came out, and this is the first one since 2011 when the color code system was replaced, kind of the updates that they did. And the Secretary Jed Johnson said again, look, the government has no knowledge of a specific or credible terrorist threat against the United States. Really? So all the ISIS talk about unleash, that's not credible, since that's kind of what the lone wolves have done recently. Anyways, I digress. No, nothing to see here. Bullshit. It's all good. So they said, listen, the change is, and this is what Johnson said, quote, we need a system that informs the public at large of what we are seeing. Okay. We need a system that informs the public at large of what we are seeing. How is that a change to the alert system or an update to the alert system? That sounds more to me like an information sharing program than it does an alert system.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
An alert system would be, hey, public, we're alerting you to danger. Here's the status. Be careful, right? But that's not what this says. It's not that we need a system to alert the public of possible terrorist attack or activity. This says we need a system that informs the public of what we're seeing.
Right.
Huh? What?
Well, and
look, I get that this is from the Obama administration, the king of doublespeak, but what the hell does that mean?
Well, it depends on what your definition of is.
Well, I'm going to tell you what that means, because I actually looked this crap up. So I said, okay, and I started looking more into his statement, and he says that the system, quote, it's removing some of the mystery about the global terrorist threat, what we are doing about it, and what we are asking the public to do. Huh? Again, how is this an alert system?
Well,
it's a marketing campaign, right? This is here's what we're seeing, and we don't want there to be any mystery about the global terrorist threat. Yeah, you do, which is why you don't want to call things a terrorist attack when they happen until you really have no freaking choice. And what we're doing about it and asking the to do. So the bulletin is what they basically added to the two. There's two categories left, folks. It's elevated and imminent. So we're
oh boy and oh shit.
Yeah, it's either life's good or
that's
oh
what
shit.
They should change it to.
Oh
boy or oh shit.
Right, red and green. Red and green. There's no yellow. There's no slowing down. There's no caution. There's no easing into
this.
this.
Who are we yielding to?
There's no foreplay.
Right.
Right? It's cold to hot.
It's not an alert system. It's an excuse system, per Agador in the chat room.
I don't even think it's an alert system.
No, it's an excuse system.
I don't even think it's an excuse system.
I don't think it does that much.
It doesn't.
Here,
this is exactly what the Obama administration says when they're up against a wall.
Oh yeah,
and put it in these terms, right? Well, it's we just need to inform the public. We just need to inform the public more. We need to educate the public more about X, Y, or Z. And when they say educate, they mean spin their bullshit.
Right.
Right? That's what. Well, if you don't agree with Obamacare, we just need to inform you about it.
It's because you don't understand. You have to be informed.
Right.
You're not smart enough to get it on your own.
Right.
So we're going to jam it down your goddamn throat until you poop it out.
In our terms.
Right.
Right. And so this is...
Papers, please. Papers.
I was reading this, and I was like, wow, we need a system that informs the public of what we're seeing. It's not an alert. We need them to remove some of the mystery about the global terrorist threat. So I actually went to the website, and there's a current bulletin that was actually issued today. And think about what we talked about in an alert system, right? Color immediately draws a reaction. It's quick, gets people's attention. It's like the emergency tone on your television set when you get the long beeps and whatnot. It brings your attention. The information is brief. There's a tornado warning in whatever, right? Please stay indoors in these areas. Boom, it's brief, it gets your attention, it's to the point, people can handle that.
Right.
This bulletin It's a freaking Joseph Wambaugh novel. It's not. It's one page. It's one page, to be fair. But it's issued today, and it gives the summary. And if you haven't checked it out, I encourage you to check it out. It's good for it expires June 16th of 2016.
What's the bulletin title?
You just go into National Terrorism Advisory System and go to the page, and at the top it says, there is a current NTAS bulletin. So first of all, you have to go to the website, and then you have to look at the little blue bar at the top, which blends right into the rest of the page. It's a light blue bar, and it says there is a current NTAS
Why
bulletin.
isn't that red?
Yes, thank you.
Why?
Right? Bring some freaking attention to it. If there's an issue and you really want people to see this, draw some attention to it. Make it flash like a stinking right, like a nudie page. Not that I know what those look like.
Well, but you've seen the pop-up ads,
right?
Yeah,
right. They're usually flesh colored, but yeah, I've seen them. So,
if you want to get the attention of half this country,
make them flesh colored.
Make them flesh colored.
Right. Click here, free game, whatever. Right. So, it's a bullet.
The government could be making money off clicks.
They actually could. And they are. So, summary. We're in a new phase in the global threat environment, which has implications on the homeland, particularly with the rise in use by terrorist groups of the internet to inspire and recruit. Interesting use of the word inspire. We are concerned about the, quote, self-radicalized actors who could strike with little or no notice. Recent attacks and attempted attacks internationally and in the homeland warrant increased security as well as public vigilance and awareness. That's the summary of the bulletin. No shit.
It was signed by Senior Intelligence Officer Captain Obvious.
Right. Okay.
Approved by Major Idiot. Now,
awesome. And co-authored by Major Pain in the Ass.
Right.
So, here's the details. Though we know of no intelligence that is both specific and credible at this time of a plot by terrorist organizations to attack the homeland, the reality is terrorist-inspired individuals have conducted or attempted to conduct attacks in the United States this year. DHS is specifically concerned that terrorist-inspired individuals and homegrown violent extremists may be encouraged or inspired to target public events or places. Hang on. First of all, they're not terrorist-inspired individuals. If they are terrorist-inspired individuals, they are freaking terrorists.
Right, they're ISIS.
Right? If you are inspired, then
I love how they separate these guys from ISIS to make them seem like less of a threat. It's not like they didn't sign the paperwork with ISIS to do their 4 years of jihad.
Right.
There's no official sign-up.
Right. If you're terrorist-inspired, you're a freaking terrorist.
Right.
And if you're a homegrown violent extremist, you are a homegrown terrorist.
Right.
Let's call it what it is. And guess what? You're talking about we have no known specific or credible threats at this time. The fact that ISIS has called for attacks on our homeland and attacks in a certain area and lone wolf attacks at certain locations, and the fact that they've happened, guess what? I would call that specific credible intelligence.
Yes.
Because not only has the intelligence been located and found, but it's been vetted and proven to be true through these freaking attacks.
Well, and here's the other thing, too. They do a really good job of trying to say that there's no credible evidence. However, for an administration that denies terrorism coming to this country and downplays everything,
right,
you now have them making a pretty substantial announcement to a new terror system to alert people of how to find out. Informing them. But this tells you what's actually going on, because even they have to recognize on some level the defecation's about to slam into the oscillation, and we need to get in front of this.
But here's the problem with that. Is by doing this, they're still completely downplaying it, right? Because if they were that worried about it, there would actually be an alert system in place.
Well,
something to keep the American public not only informed, but I can take a look. Hey, today's terror level is X. This is what we should do. Okay, I got it. not a bulletin you click on, you really can't find it. Maybe because I had to hunt to find this.
And the text isn't that great because the background is gray and the writing's dark gray. So I mean, even that's a little
right.
No. Well, and what I'm saying is we know this administration downplays anything that's terror and or ISIS related, right? But even they had to do something. So when the attack happens again, they could say, well, we did this and we got out ahead of it, without making a huge deal of, hey, you know what? From now on, we're going to have terror alerts that just like
Amber Alerts.
Amber Alerts do on your phone now.
Yeah.
Every
Silver Alerts,
every
else.
cell company has to participate. If there's an Amber Alert in your region, your phone will activate like a text message, and it's different.
And they charge you for it.
It shakes. No, they don't.
Oh.
But it's different than a regular text message. It's an alarm for the Amber Alert. They would do something like that, like, hey, Greater Sacramento area, we have credible intelligence of blah, blah, blah.
Here's the problem with that.
What?
The private companies could do that and make it relatively cost effective. But the government sure as hell couldn't do that. Hang on a second. Here, you're going to like this. How you can help. There's a how you can help segment on the bottom of the bulletin. That's nice, right?
How you can help?
Yeah, that's nice.
If it links right to a gun class or a gun store, I'd be impressed.
That's what you would think, right?
Right,
How
you
you
wanna
can
help.
Take gun safety, protect fellow citizens.
Right, we just had the Southern California sheriff saying, hey, you need to fight until we can get there.
Right.
Arm yourself.
Yes.
I forget what his name is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bring your gun and protect others, because unfortunately a lot of people in this country are freaking sheep and they won't do it themselves. That would be a great tip. However, community leaders, coworkers, friends, and family can help by recognizing signs of potential radicalization to violence. Not radicalization for terror, but radicalization to violence. For information, go to nsincirc.gov. So you get to go to somewhere else, and then you go to that somewhere else, and it's a freaking cluster fornication to try and find your way around there either, or what the hell they're talking about. And it also says, report threats or suspicious activity to the FBI or your local authorities. Gee, thanks.
This is a lot of help.
Thanks. And then if you see something, say something. Report suspicious activity to local law enforcement. God, there was somebody that did that. It was a school somewhere. Kid brought something looked like a bomb. They said something.
Getting
Texas.
sued now.
Yeah, getting sued $15 million, and they're under investigation by the federal
DOJ.
government. Good job.
And you know, it's funny because the see something, say something, somebody was afraid to do that because they didn't want to get labeled something, because we have a tendency
racist.
Islamophobe. Racist, Islamophobe.
Same thing they did to the people that said something at the school.
Yeah, they were afraid of that happening. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to much. That's right.
Yeah.
San Bernardino. That's right.
Yeah, the neighbor, San Bernardino.
Yeah, afraid to say something because she didn't want to be labeled. Because, you know, what's funny is, we talk about this all the time. Labeling is one of the things that the left loves to do to things that they don't understand, and making things
or like or agree with.
Right. Making things sound horrible. So,
like calling you a lunatic.
Right. Well,
or calling you a bigot.
That's you.
That was me.
Right.
You never forget I said anything.
But, you know, on the left, we get words like homophobe, racist, Islamophobe.
How can they say homophobe? How can they say homophobe when homo's in it?
I don't know. You're not allowed to say pedophile anymore. People get mad at you now. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, right? The schools in California, the ruling saying pedophiles can start to live
in your schools.
You can't harass them for being pedophiles.
Are they a protected class now? Apologize, that just slipped out.
Essentially.
You know, I call them Chesters.
Right. Somebody was telling me what the prison term for it is, and off the top of my head, I can't think of it. Chomos.
Child molester.
Yeah. But so either way.
They don't like them in
prison.
They
don't like them at all, here's the funny part about that, too, because I have a friend who works in a prison. They are protected class because in prison they get sent to their own area where they're protected.
They'll get killed.
Because they will get killed.
Because the other inmates, guess what? They have families and kids.
Right.
And you don't screw with kids.
As weird as it sounds. So, I mean, it's not weird, but you know what I mean.
That's one thing you got to respect about even the felon population. They don't screw with kids for the most part.
They get it. But so the left loves to do that. So see something, say something is great until it meets reality in this country.
Right.
Because I agree. If you see something, you should say something. We talked about last week.
Yeah.
I think that if you blow a whistle on a potential terror case, A, you should be rewarded handsomely. Weaken Disney if it turns out to be something good. I don't care. I just think that you may have saved lives, and especially if you're an average citizen.
Pick your prize.
Yeah, pick
right?
your prize.
If you're a bachelor and you want a blonde, a redhead, and a brunette,
we'll give it to you.
Perfect. For a week,
I would rather
here you
give
go.
that than Obamacare.
In Nevada, so it's legal.
I would rather pay for that than Obamacare.
Absolutely.
Because that would encourage people to actually be proactive.
Right.
Right? We talked about the alert system earlier. How you have red or you have green. You have
right.
oh boy and oh shit. In Canada, it'd be oh boy. But
oh boy.
Oh boy. And oh goodness.
And oh poop.
Oh poop would be the Canadian. Kelly, you writing all this down? You can breach this to your parliament or whatever you guys have. Oh boy. Oh poop.
That's a good idea, eh?
But now we have to get people, because as we talked about last week, a lot of things in this country, terrorism is one of those things that people don't think are coming here. Even with San Bernardino,
do now.
even with Chattanooga, which we'll talk about after the break.
They do now. People are flipping.
They're starting to understand.
Yes, they're starting
but
to.
not enough.
People are losing their minds
because
over
those
San Bernardino. The ones in state government are losing their minds.
No, I understand that, but the people who still believe that everything this administration says, which are a large amount of people, sadly,
but that's shrinking.
It is shrinking, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still there. And they still identify these people as like a ragtag group of almost like Neanderthals.
Really? Ragtag, raghead? I see what you did there. You can't do that, Sean.
Of almost Neanderthals that have nothing but sticks and rocks.
Is that a game they play?
So
ragtag?
they
do they take the rag off their head and play ragtag? Is that what you meant by your comment?
Oh, no.
Because
it's
like a jihadi game that they play?
What does Larry the Cable Guy say? Lord, I'm sorry about that.
Lord, I apologize.
Ragtag and spew the pygmies down New Guinea. Amen.
Yeah, it's a jihadist game. You can't say ragtag anymore. So,
dude,
come on, racist or funny?
Funny as hell.
Thank you.
Funny as hell.
Hey, go ahead and tweet that out, Sean.
Ragtag.
Jihadi recruitment game. Team building game.
Persac had Clint. Now.
So, hang on. So, be prepared is one of the things. And I got excited when I said, oh, good, there's a be prepared section. It says, in populated places, be responsible for your personal safety. Oh, personal responsibility. I'm liking this. And then it says, make a mental note of emergency exits and locations.
Okay, have a plan.
Hang on. Make a mental note of emergency exits. Okay, I like that. And locations of the nearest security personnel. Ooh. I don't know that I like that. Right? Because law enforcement personnel, maybe, because they're the ones with guns, they're going to be fighting back. Security personnel, a lot of security folks don't carry guns.
Right. And
their job is something else, right? So it doesn't say carry a gun.
I could do 2 hours on why that should change.
It doesn't. No. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. It absolutely should change. But every citizen should be armed. And
right.
Guess what? You may get 1 or 2 in one of these attacks, but when 4 others return fire on you, bad day for the terrorists.
Yeah, exactly.
Behind every blade of grass, right?
Right.
If this said carry a gun, great, but it doesn't. Carry a knife? Nope, it doesn't. Fight back if you have to? Nope, it doesn't. Okay, well, be prepared. This bulletin could seriously be just an information page on a website. This doesn't have to be anything. This expires June 16th, but
that's when the threat will go away forever.
Right, that's my point, right? Why is there an expiration date on this? Why not put until rescinded? Or until every ISIS member is dead?
Yeah, 22 feet under because 6 isn't enough.
Right. You know how many times I've heard that? 6 isn't enough?
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress.
No, I trust me, I know.
Yeah. Well, with you, if they've heard 3's not enough. What? But they didn't. They put an expiration date on this, which has me a little concerned. So,
do they know something we don't?
Right?
Imagine, it'd be a riot if the expiration date was the day after
like a nuke went off
the
in the entire
president-elect
region.
was put into office next year.
That's funny. So you go to the website, the main website, and there's just an info page. And how it can help you. I love this. Encourage individuals to follow the guidance provided by state and local officials and to report suspicious activity. It's a regurgitation of what's on the bulletin itself.
Right. Oh, that's all they... How often? But they repeat something until it's true. The left
That's all
does
it
all the
is.
time.
It's seriously, their information page is a regurgitation of the crap they wrote in the main body of the bulletin. Huh? So you go to frequently asked questions. We're almost up against a break.
No, I know. But still.
But, so here's one of the things. Talk how does it work, blah, 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 bullshit. As a citizen, how will I find out that an NTAS advisory has been announced? Here's the answer. DHS will announce the advisory as public. Hang on a second. The question is, how do I know that it's been announced? The answer is, we'll announce it. What?
This is almost like the Onion created a government news, government website.
Right.
How do I know when one's been announced? We will
announce it.
It's almost like Caesar in History of the World. Like that was something he would say.
Did he call me Big Fat Pig?
I believe he did, sire.
You think he was referring to me?
I believe he was, sire.
What should Americans do when an NTAS alert or bulletin is announced? Encourage individuals to follow the guidance provided by the state and local officials. Or, I've read that sentence 3 frickin' times. Once on the advisory itself, once on the main page of NTAS, and now once in the Q&A section. It's like somebody just put copy and paste.
It's like a Sackheads webpage.
Let's go Wheel of Answers. What information does it provide and how does it differ? It provide broader, more general information about terrorism trends. Perfect.
But all the answers in the Wheel of Answers are the same things.
Damn near. Damn near.
We're going to pick this up on the other side of the break. Right here in the Sackheads
I
Radio
got one
Show.
other thing. We can go a minute late. I'm sorry. I get my news online, so how will I find out about an NTAS advisory? Americans can go to the DHS.gov alerts website to see the most... Then it's not a freaking alert if I got a cert for you. I'm dropping the mic.
You can self-alert at... Back with more on the Sackheads Radio Show.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And it happened again. I can't figure that out now.
What'd you do?
I think I know what I did, and I might be able to fix it this next time around. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Welcome back to the Sackheads
You
Radio
could tell
Show.
me what you did, and I'd have no clue what you were
I know.
talking about.
It's very true, actually. So we were going on, and with this beautiful alert, if that makes any sort of sense. And God, it is just sad that the government actually spent money on this. That's the amazing part.
I want to know how much.
Shitloads. You know,
That's a technical term.
Oh yeah, no, it's just shitloads of money, boatloads. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So, please continue on with this segment because I have to know more about this ridiculousness.
What do you want to know?
Oh, I want you to keep talking about the other fine points that it made about what not to do.
Oh no, this is the Q&A. This is the Q&A section right here. We're on the Q&A section.
Okay, let's go Q&A.
How should I report suspicious activity? First of all, if you don't know how to frickin' dial 911, you're a frickin' idiot. If you don't know how to look up the phone number to your local police station, you're a freaking idiot.
Just point at whoever it is and yell terrorist at the top of your lungs.
Right.
Until somebody shows up.
And get your cell phone out and start videoing them.
Don't do that.
And then throw poo at them.
On the off chance that there's
them.
a liberal listening, I don't want to get sued when this happens. So don't do that.
I'm going to do that because I think that's hilarious. What are they going to do? I am not a terrorist. I don't know. Individuals should report suspicious activity to local law enforcement authorities. Often, local law enforcement and public safety officials will be best positioned to provide specific details on what indicators to look for and how to report suspicious activity. Wait a second.
What?
Wait a second here. Hang on a second. The question is, how should I report suspicious activity? The answer is, call law enforcement. They'll give you specific details on how to report suspicious activity. What?
What?
I can't make this up.
Well, and you know what's funny is...
how do I report this? Call somebody. They'll tell you how to report it.
And this new website, the Joint Terrorism Alert System, isn't it amazing how they just essentially created a new agency of government to do what 15 other agencies of government are supposed to already be doing?
It's all through. Yeah, It's all through Homeland Security.
Right, but they're calling it the JTAS now. They're getting away from like Homeland Security for some reason. It's just very strange to me that it's just.
This says official website of the Department of Homeland Security.
We are so screwed in this country, it's not even funny. Hey, speaking of Homeland Security.
Yeah?
Did you watch any of the Homeland Security testimony from this week with Trey Gowdy and the...
I did. Do you have the audio?
I will in about 15 seconds.
Go.
Well, I said 15 seconds, not right now.
Go.
That usually means talk for 15 seconds.
Oh. I like the developer resources. Why do you need developer resources if you're looking for a freaking alert bulletin? Why do you need to know widget?
Well, so this system was brought to you by this genius, and I have the audio now, who our good friend, and I say that just because I like him and I hope he'll become our friend, Trey Gowdy, had talked with you.
Hang on, I'm going to rate this. It says, was this page helpful? I'm going to put no, it was stupid.
Not for state of visa, not someone who crossed the border without permission, but an American citizen. What process is currently afforded an American citizen before they go on that list?
I'm sorry. There's not a process afforded the citizen prior to getting on the list. There is a process should someone feel they are unduly placed on the list.
Yes, there is. And when I say process, I'm actually using half of the term due process, which is a phrase we find in the Constitution, that you cannot deprive people of certain things without due process. So I understand Mr. Good's idea.
Pause it. So what he's talking about here is when American citizens are placed on a list, stripping them of their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms.
Yes.
To where they cannot purchase a firearm, possess a firearm, and that's what he's talking about.
Yes.
To get on this list, there is no due process. There is no process for putting somebody on this list that is going to deprive them of their constitutional right. And that's what he's talking about. So I wanted to set the scene. I apologize to our listeners if that wasn't made clear at first. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay.
Yeah, which is wait until your right has been taken from you, and then you can petition the government to get it back. I understand that that's his idea. My question is, can you name another constitutional right that we have that is chilled until you find out it's chilled, and then you have to petition the government to get it back? Is that true with the First Amendment?
Sir, there are strict criteria before.
That's not my question, ma'am. That is not my question. My question is, what process is afforded a United States citizen before that person's constitutional right is infringed? Then he's fine with doing it with the Second Amendment. My question is, how about the First? How about we not let them set up a website or a Google account? How about we not let them join the church until they can petition government to get off the list? How about not get a lawyer? How about the Sixth Amendment? How about you can't get a lawyer until you petition the government to get off the list? Or my favorite, how about the Eighth Amendment? We're going to subject you to cruel and unusual punishment until you petition the government to get off the list. Is there another constitutional right that we treat the same way for American citizens that we do the Second Amendment? Can you think of one? Can you think of one?
I don't have an answer for you, sir.
All right, well, I'm out of town, but
I'm out of time, so I'm going to stop kicking your ass right now.
That was just no answers. No answers.
How do you answer that?
Well, the problem is when you can't be truthful, you don't answer.
I don't honestly think it was her trying to be untruthful. I think it was that she does not have an understanding of what due process is or constitutional principles, and they just tried to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And, this was something that... So this whole argument stemmed from the Second Amendment and the no-fly list, right? The terrorism watch list. And I think I talked about it last week. The terrorism watch list, from all accounts that I can find, has about 100,000 people on there. Out of that 100,000 people, about 40% of it is Americans, American citizens.
Like John Smith.
Right. It may be less, but because we can't have access to this list.
I don't know who Les is.
So it's all speculation.
And we don't know if Les is on it.
But anyhow, so that's what brought this up. And you had those on the left talk about how if you're on the no-fly list, you should not be able to purchase a firearm.
Right.
So if you're on this terrorist watch list, you are now having your Second Amendment attacked and
taken
away without any sort of due process. Now,
Right.
we understand if you're a felon, there's some other things that you can have your rights to firearms.
And she just admitted there is no process in place. There's criteria.
Right. And you don't know.
But there's no process.
And you as a
for it.
person don't know if you've had your name added to the list until you try to fly somewhere or now potentially buy a gun.
And now here's what a potential solution could have been, or her answer could have been. You know what? We are, and it's not true, but I'm just spitballing here. You know what? We have a process. We have criteria in place. When somebody meets that criteria, we take that criteria to a judge with an attorney, and we have a judge rule whether that person names should be on the no-fly list or not, they are notified, and then a hearing can be had because their rights have been affected.
Yeah, you could use the FISA court.
Right?
You could absolutely use the FISA court.
That would now be a process that the government could use prior to them infringing upon any right you have.
Right.
Look, and he brought up the First Amendment. And look, people may not agree with everything we say. A lot probably don't. And we certainly don't agree with everything everybody else says, but they have a right to say it, and I support that right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Black Lives movement, Black Lives Matter movement, for example.
Right.
I disagree with them fundamentally.
Right.
On several different levels.
Right.
However, I absolutely support their right to go out and say whatever it is they have to say.
Right. And I had this argument today with somebody. Not an argument, it was actually a positive conversation. But I said, there's plenty of things that I don't agree with that people have the right to protest.
Right.
And as long as they're not blocking the streets and keeping other people from going on their merry
Infringing
way,
upon the rights of others,
then I'm okay with it.
I support it.
I
want them to be heard.
Right. I do.
I really do.
I may disagree. And for somebody like us that likes to argue, it's good to hear their point of view to have an argument with.
Mm-hmm.
And then
to understand their side, because we've talked about this before. You and I read both sides of every issue that we talk about.
Right.
And you and I have disagreed on some things as well. And that's good. That's healthy debate.
That's what solves problems. Now, one of the... it's so ridiculous. One of the issues that all of us have about this no-fly list is that you have no way of knowing if you're on it.
Right.
The government just throws your name in a list, and there's a ton of people on it that find out the hard way. And I always say...
and to be fair, flying is not a right.
It's a privilege.
It is a privilege.
But I always get mad when people turn around and they say, hey, and we can get into rights and privileges because I want to talk about cars because that's one of the analogies that get brought up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But you picture it's Christmas Eve. You're a college kid. You've been away since September. You're going home to visit your family. Or maybe you're in the military, right? And you're stationed and you've always flown on military flights. You've never had to go through the regular system. Now you're taking your leave. You're getting on a regular airline and you're flying home. Haven't seen your family. You were deployed in Afghanistan. It doesn't matter. You're about to get on the plane and they're like, oh, sir, I'm sorry. We can't let you on. Well, why not? Well, you're on the no-fly list. And I know it wouldn't happen this way, but...
You listen to SHR Media.
This is the basis of it. That person now has to go and petition the U.S. government to have their rights restored to travel freely about the country on an airplane because their name has been added to a list that has, and it's their right of movement, I would argue, is a freedom.
Right, but it's how you move, right? It's like driving. You don't have a right to drive a car.
You don't have a right to drive a car, but you have the right to choose to fly.
You can choose to fly, but you don't have the right to fly.
Right. But that's what I'm saying, though, is your choice to fly, and you've done nothing to have that freedom taken away or that privilege taken away, and that right to fly, that choice to make that purchase is a freedom. And if you don't have anything stopping you, again, we talk about driving a car. If your license is suspended, you shouldn't be driving. But you know when your license gets suspended because when your license gets suspended, they mail something to your house, certified copy.
Right.
So you know and the court knows, hey, asshole one is not allowed to fly or drive.
Right, so we should issue licenses to fly. Is that what you're saying?
At least then you would have some sort of notification.
You know if you were suspended.
Right? Exactly. There's no notification system
for this. Is that a pilot's license? It's a flying license?
It's a flying license.
It's different. I'm practically a pilot. I have a flying license.
Did you take a test for that? No. I just showed up and they gave it to me.
I'm a helicopter pilot.
I'm a helicopter pilot. It's no big deal. But not tonight. Not tonight. Tonight we're not helicopter
pilots. Tonight we're not helicopter pilots, guys.
That's a story I'll let you in for when I have a ton of money and don't care.
Big fat Polly.
So one of the scary things about this is your name can go on this list. And if you don't fly it, if you're like me and you don't fly a lot, you may not know it for 2, 3, or 4 years that, hey, your name's on this terrorism watch list. Why? Well, you have a pretty common name, and that's one of the criterias. Ted Kennedy at one point was on the no-fly list. Outside of being a tremendous drunk and a liberal, I don't think Ted Kennedy really did anything to get on a no-fly list. How did he find out? When he tried to book airline. And I'm sure he got on a plane quicker because he could pull a few governmental strings to get his thing restricted. But you would then have to petition Homeland Security. It would go to an administrative hearing, all the while costing you money. You know you're going to need a lawyer for something like that because the average person can't just walk in and argue they aren't a terrorist to Homeland Security. So it is almost like being wrongly accused of a non-crime, if that makes sense. You're being accused, you need a lawyer to get yourself off this list. It's almost like if we just randomly put people on a sex offender list. Because one time you looked at a girl who was under 18 and somebody called it in. You know what I mean? There was no prosecution, you never said anything, you never did anything, you were just there. Somebody wrongly accused you of being a pedophile. Now all of a sudden you're on the sex offender list and your face is all over the country. Right? I mean,
except in California where you can do that stuff and it's fine.
Well, and the funniest part is you can go onto this magic no-fly list without any sort of prosecution or due process, as Trey Gowdy pointed out. But if you're a level 1 or 2 sex offender, least likely to offend, your picture can't get put online.
Right.
Because they're afraid of harassment.
Right.
You talked earlier about protected rights. They're more protected than the average citizen who doesn't do anything wrong and gets thrown on the goddamn no-fly list.
Which has happened.
Which has happened.
A lot.
Yes. So, and then to correlate the no-fly list to the Second Amendment, you shouldn't be allowed to buy guns. Well,
but see, that's the big difference, because now you're not talking about a privilege to fly.
It's a
You're
right.
talking about a fundamental right, an individual right that the United States Supreme Court has affirmed several times as an individual right.
And continue to affirm.
That the founders have said specifically in their writings and so forth
Shall
on the
not
Second
be
Amendment
infringed.
about being an individual right of the people.
Yep.
Not of the collective.
Right.
And now you're talking about a completely different animal altogether, and I think that's why Trey Gowdy is so fired up, and rightfully so. You can't strip somebody of a right. A right, if you go back to natural law, is something that you're born with. You have this right because you were born. It's given to you by God.
Right.
Government doesn't grant rights, because if government grants rights, they can take them away.
Absolutely.
That's the importance of them.
Right.
Rights cannot be taken away. No matter what laws government passes, no matter what, they cannot be taken away. We have them just because we're human beings.
Right.
And the right to self-defense
is one of those rights.
Is one of those fundamental rights.
Rights of nature to defend yourself.
Which is why we have the Second Amendment, not only from other people,
tyranny,
but from tyranny.
So I go back to this no-fly list. Roughly 100,000 people, according to my research. 40,000 of them are Americans, from what I could figure out. Again, you can't see it, so this is only speculation. Of those 40,000 Americans, perhaps half of them own a weapon already. Because all statistics prove that about half the country owns a gun. So now you're looking at 20,000 people.
That's 50% too little.
That's 20,000 more who don't own a gun that are on the fly list. I'd argue that probably half those people may never want to own a gun. So now we're going through all of this to protect the rights of 10,000 people.
Roughly. Pure estimation.
Speculation and estimate, right? And somebody said, well, that's such a small population of the country. Why does it really matter?
Many.
One is too many. But here's the other argument. If it's such a small population of the country, then why do you care to get them banned from the gun list? The argument goes both ways, right?
Right.
So
look, if you're convicted of terrorism,
no gun.
You lose it.
No
right?
gun.
I'm okay
felon,
with that.
No gun. I have no problem.
Violent felon, no gun.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
If you
exactly.
passed a bad check and you got a felony conviction one time,
you're an idiot.
You're an idiot, right? How about you can't own a gun for the term of your probation, parole, whatever it is? Violent felon, sex predator, those types of things, absolutely. I would even go that far, and I know there's several people that disagree with me on that.
Well, and then the other
Look,
argument...
after you do your time, other rights are restored, right? You've done your time. You've paid your debt.
Yeah, you could argue that absolutely should be restored. But the final argument that I was making today, and we talked about driving, right? Driving's a privilege, not a right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. But the last argument that I really made was, hey, listen, at the end of the day, until you have the legal definition of terrorism known and a part of this, and it's what is defined per this system as terror, and that can't be changed or modified without Congress or something like that, you have a problem, because all they have to do is move the goalposts on what a terrorist is. We hear about right-wing extremists. The military was teaching tabletop exercises on how to essentially stifle an uprising from conservative extremists and people that believed in the founders. We've had government institutions talk about people that believe in the founders to be extremists and potential domestic terrorists. We've seen it time and again. The concern for me comes that once you allow this to go, and nobody thinks twice about it, it just falls under the radar. What happens when they change those definitions? What happens when they move the goalposts? What happens where it doesn't matter if you're an American citizen? You could just get thrown onto this list. We've seen other parts of our constitutional rights chipped away. Right? What was it, 4 years ago, where the Secret Service changed the rules that for the presidential safety, you're not allowed to protest him within, 200 feet and hold signs for presidential safety. That stifles the First Amendment.
Absolutely.
We've seen the protest zones, the Bundy Ranch, where they were setting up free speech zones.
The entire country is a free speech zone.
So we've seen them start to chip away at First Amendment rights. Hey, look at freedom of religion being attacked over the last 3 years, more so than ever. Christianity, right? You see the bakers who are being attacked because they're refusing to do something against their religion.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of the biggest lines in the sand that need to be drawn. Because once you allow this to go after the Second Amendment without due process, and it gets accepted as a norm, we will be in a very bad place, because now, what other lists will they develop to keep guns out of good people's hands? Every single time a leftist says to you, we don't want to take guns from Americans, we just want to make it safer. What if it saves one child? I love that argument. If it saves one life. Well, what if a well-armed citizen saves one life?
Right. And we know it has in the past.
Time and again it has.
Yes.
Well, guns have led to the death of many people, yes, but that's the action of the perpetrator, not the gun itself.
Not only that, but how many deaths were caused by a gun of people who were bad?
Right. It happens all the time.
Right.
We talk about the overlay of crime versus gun violence in this country. Gun violence and gun restrictions. And the overlay, with the exception of New Orleans and Atlanta, line up almost perfectly.
Right. You know, you brought up the First Amendment. I want to get to this. There was Ami Horowitz, the satirist and filmmaker, went to Yale University, and he did an experiment. And he said, quote, "I decided to take this campus free speech debate to its logical conclusion." Because on a lot of college campuses, they want to set up free speech zones like we were talking about before. And what he did is he had a petition, and he asked students to sign the petition calling for an outright repeal of the First Amendment. And he said, quote, "The result was this unbelievable display of total stupidity." He found out that a majority of the students he asked to sign this petition thought it was a great idea. Signed the petition, completely abolished the First Amendment. And one student reportedly told him, quote, "I think it's really awesome that you're out here." These are college students at Yale University, an Ivy League school. a prestigious Ivy League school.
Very prestigious.
That has a prestigious law school.
Very prestigious.
That are calling for the outright, or that support a bogus petition for the outright repeal of the First Amendment. Let's think about this for a second. That would mean that the federal government could then establish a national religion.
Yes.
Of Christianity.
Yes, if they wanted to. It all depends on who's in power when they go to do it.
Right?
And that's the thing that's scary, like you said earlier. Once you start identifying rights as being given by government and not by God, this is what happens. And listen, if people want to sign to give up their Second Amendment right,
perfect.
Go for it. First Amendment right.
You can waive whatever right you want.
You want to sign? I don't care if you sign a document,
right,
that says I will never use free speech. I will never carry a weapon. I do not mind if you board soldiers in my home. You have the right to do that.
Right. You can waive any constitutional right you want. You can waive your right to remain silent and give a. You can waive your right to representation. You can.
Can you waive your right to cruel and unusual punishment?
Why not? I think legally speaking, you can.
I think that would be awesome.
If you are so messed up, and let's say you were so sorry for what you did, and you realized how evil you were, and you said, "I waive my right against cruel and unusual punishment."
Drop me in a Shark Tank.
Right, stone me.
I want it to be as cruel and unusual as humanly possible. When I say unusual, I want you to be creative because I want to be the guy who gets eaten by sharks in a state prison.
Right.
And I will sign all my rights away. And I'm not crazy, but I think that would be a badass way to go. I think back to Point Break, right? Like
yeah,
that would be how Bodie would go. Something bizarre like that.
Right. I signed a paper. I want to waive my Eighth Amendment right against cruel and unusual punishment. And I want to choose my method of execution.
Because there are some things, and I think about it all the time. I always think about like the guys that fall out of an airplane and live. You should have that choice and be like, no, you bring me up 20,000 feet. Let me jump out. If I live...
No shoot.
No shoot whatsoever. If I live, I'm good to go. Okay. But we get to charge pay-per-view for that.
Why not make some money?
All proceeds go to victim right advocates.
I'm on board.
I think that would be outstanding.
I'm on board with that.
Oh, we're being called for the Iron Bull. I do like the Iron Bull. I'm not going to lie. Oh, man.
We're up against a break.
We are up against a break. When we come back, we're going to finish this damn fine show, and I mean damn fine, that we have here. We're going to talk about some other
stuff. We got stuff to talk about.
We have a whole bunch of stuff. Most importantly, I am going to stall for just another second or so longer until I find exactly what I'm looking for. How are you?
It's cold outside, so you might not be able to find it as easily.
Hey, come on now.
What?
I had that. I had the string attached to it. Here we go.
It's like a button. That's cute.
We'll be back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. No, really, this time.
Media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave.
Conservative Media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that. A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Kyle was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Socko as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from Reefer of Common Sense, and we have moved to a new night and time. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com, you will catch the Reefer of Common Sense uncensored, unfiltered, and only on shrmedia.com.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. I figured out the problem with the commercials. And don't worry, on the podcast, you'll hear every single commercial we have. So if you didn't sit through this train wreck live and you're going to download it, then I'm going to make you sit through commercials. Just because we will allow you to waive your Eighth Amendment and be subjected to cruel and unusual punishment.
Well, you're making a choice by listening.
Oh, I can't believe it took me the whole show to figure that out. But, you know.
We can get Socko to look at it.
I would love to get Socko to look at it.
Socko, we know you're listening.
Socko.
Please come back.
Please come back.
Because it's painful to see Sean over at your desk.
You know, if you love something, you set it free. If it comes back, you put it in a cage and make sure it never sets free again. That's just the rule I've learned.
And here's the problem. We had him in a cage, and the moment we set him free...
he ran like a gazelle.
Right.
I mean, he couldn't get out of here fast enough.
And we tried to catch him, but he rubbed Vaseline all over his body first. I think it was Vaseline. Which, if you've ever seen, like, Chewbacca covered in Vaseline, picture that. He was like a matted mess by the time he got...
By the way, I want to congratulate Socko for his latest movie release, Star Wars The Force Awakens. The angle that they had to film...
It was Socko Awakens, because he used to fall asleep on the floor of the studio.
Right. And the angle they had to film Socko, who was Chewbacca in the movie...
We're still trying to verify that, but yeah, that's the belief.
To make him look 7'5" or 7'6" was amazing because they did a great.
Because he's 4'1.5".
Right, so they really had to go out of their way to make sure the angle of the camera was right, so everyone else looked normal, but Socko looked. You don't realize is in all those scenes, Socko is standing 15 feet in front of the other actors,
even though it looks through computer graphics that he's behind in a lot of ways.
So. Oy vey, it's one of those nights. This is what happens when you enjoy a nice dinner and there's a bunch of other stuff that you should be doing that you just haven't got to. It was a rough week. It was technology-wise, it was a rough week. Our hosting company is apparently ran by a bunch of brainless chimps who just hit random buttons and can't figure out simple things. And then it causes your whole website to crash for almost 5 days straight, and you're barely able to get up enough to get it going. And then, yeah. Did I mention that I'm cleaning out an old office and moving into a new office, and forgot my computer today? It was just a good day. It's just a good one. Just happy to be here.
You need like your Whoopie.
I do.
And a warm bottle of milk.
I need my Whoopie.
Right.
And a bottle of like whiskey. Just
right.
Guzzle it down.
Right. And a Whoopie is actually a 12-inch rubber monkey fist.
Same thing. I need it. Apparently.
Right.
Because life is doing it to me anyhow lately. It might as well just keep going.
It might as well be literally and not just figuratively.
So we covered so much this evening.
The debates.
The debates.
There wasn't a lot.
It wasn't a lot.
Rubio and Cruz kind of went back and forth. That was cute.
You know, and one of the things that I understand the necessity of the debates.
Bush did nothing.
Nothing. You want to talk about a bump in a log? And rightfully so, because he has nothing to say.
Right.
And listen, we all know exactly who Bush is, right? He's just hoping to run on his name and win. The guy has no ideas of his own. At least when we talk about Trump, I disagree with a lot of what Trump says. Or how he says it. Let me rephrase it. I disagree with how he says it in the sense that I would want my commander-in-chief to be a statesman.
He wants to shut down parts of the internet to fight ISIS.
Well, certain sites.
Right.
Selective sites. And I'm actually not 100% against that.
I'm not either.
Because I think that if you're going to those sites...
I was just talking about his ideas. Look,
right.
I'm not in disagreement.
I think if you go to those sites,
entirely,
unless you're going for research like we would be,
right?
You're going there with ill intent,
and
it's a slippery slope, right? Because once you start curtailing,
then he's going to want to ban all around the barnyard.net, and Fat Polly won't have anything to enjoy at home.
But is the internet? And listen, we could get shut down too if somebody who disagreed said that we were extremist activity. I understand that we live and die on the internet. However, is the internet a right? Access to the internet, is it a right? And I'd like to remind everyone that the intranets,
the
interwebbies, were created essentially by the military for communication.
They were, but it's so expressive now with people invoking their First Amendment right.
You could say that it is very much a portal for the First Amendment
Absolutely.
right. So it is a dangerous slope because once you cross that line, and like I said, all they have to do is move the goalposts as to what's an extremist. I've talked before about, you talk to some liberals and they're like, I can't believe it just shows what morons you conservatives are, is that Trump is leading and the guy's an idiot and blah, 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 blah.
The guy's not an idiot.
He's not an idiot.
No. He can't be where he is today by being an idiot.
Is he a little bit of a circus clown act? Yeah.
A little bit.
Does he know that when he says certain things, it's getting him free press?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Listen, the guy is a salesman. At the end of the day, the guy is a salesman. We talk about his politics, but who he is as a person. He made all of his money selling land and selling Trump.
Yep.
And then he kept selling Trump.
He's got a card game named after him.
They made a TV show after him. They made a TV show about the guy. Because he's such an interesting individual, and he is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with that. But we, government over the last 8 years, and politicians in general over the last 8 years, have created Donald Trump, and here is why. Donald Trump is who he is. And you're going to say, well, of course, everyone is who he is. But he's loud. He's opinionated. He's not afraid to say what's in his mind. He's not afraid to be outspoken. And he's not afraid of his values, right? Wrong or indifferent.
And he doesn't care what you think about him.
He does not care what anyone thinks about him. He is pretty transparent. He is the opposite of 90% of politicians in this country. And that's what the draw to him is. We talk about principles when you are when you're electing a government official. We talk about electing people of principle. Honesty is one of the biggest principles, in my opinion, that you have to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Other people that I believe have principles that are on that stage for the Republicans right now: Ben Carson, Cruz, I think Rubio mostly.
Rubio, yeah. Fiorina, I think.
Carly, I think for the most part too. There's some things that I question about her, but not game changers. I just have some issues.
Right. No candidate is perfect.
But I think they're principled. Donald Trump, I think, is a very principled person in the sense that everyone knows he's had a little bit of a Democratic history. He was friends, and that doesn't mean he voted with or politically aligned, but he was friends with the Clintons. He had a lot of liberals around him. He went to a lot of liberal fundraisers, et cetera, et cetera. But he is what this country is kind of pining for in a politician, is he's a glass of refreshing bullshit. Right? Because every politician slings it. I don't care what politician. There's a level of it. Left, right. We talk about, and I was talking to Liberal Jake today about this, and he agreed on most of my points.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the other side of the aisle. Who's really starting to take off there and who's starting to falter? You're starting to see Bernie climb pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
Because Bernie's kooky. He's a little crazy. He's outspoken. But he is who he is. And he's not ashamed of it. And he's transparent about it. He's a socialist. He's not afraid to say it. He believes in big government. He's not afraid to say it. He's refreshing to the left because even the left is burned out on the likes of Obama, Reid, Pelosi, all these career politicians who are just bullshit artists and do nothing what they say they're going to do.
Did you bullshit today?
Exactly. Did you try to bullshit today? Yes. So that is exactly who Bernie is. He's a screwball, but he is who he is. And he's open about it, and he's lively. And then the other side is who's starting to go down for the Democrats? Hillary. Why? All these questions about who she is.
And there's sources that came out this week and said that a review shows that there were 2 top secret emails that traversed her server.
She hasn't said boo about it.
Nope.
She hasn't even come out and said, hey, you know what? Yeah, they were on my server and they were a mistake. I own it, but it was completely innocent. I didn't mean to do it. She can't even say that.
Nope.
She comes out and she says nothing. She goes to these little meetings and raises money but says nothing. All these things about the Benghazi and the email server and all the other stuff in the Clintons' life are starting to catch up to her, and she's starting to falter. And Democrats are starting to sour on her. And it's almost pushing them to Bernie. And she's doing it herself.
That's because they're voting the letter, though.
Right. Oh, no, they are.
Bernie's not even a Democrat.
I know.
He's a
It's
socialist.
outstanding. But you look at those on the right now who are on the right platform who are also kind of the career politician. I'm just going to run because of who I am, and I should be elected because I deserve it. I've showed up a lot.
My dad was, and my
I've showed up
was.
enough where I should be elected, right?
Right.
Lindsey Graham, people like that, Jeb Bush, obviously, people like that. So people are getting sick of those candidates, which is why they are polling in the dumper. There's no other way to say it. You walk out a Bernie Sanders on the left and a Donald Trump on the right, and people are almost invigorating and want to be involved in the national conversation again.
Absolutely, because you have non-career politicians and people that are up there saying what no other politician is willing to say.
Yes, and you have to give Donald Trump credit in the sense that
Who's Donald Trump?
Donald Trump credit in this. I'm tired. In the sense of he's creating their conversation and he's making them have conversations that they don't want to have.
Oh, yeah. Look at the whole immigration thing when he was on that.
And whether you agree with him on it or not, the fact is
the conversation was started because of him.
So there's something to be said about that.
Yes.
Is he a wingnut? Yeah, he may be a little bit of a loose cannon. Would I like to pick his brain? I absolutely would.
Absolutely.
Do I think that he has the best of intentions of the country? In his mind, I think he absolutely does.
Yeah.
Is everything he says wrong? No, actually. We talked about it, I think, last week with his comments on immigration. He didn't say stop. He said, let's slow it down. Give law enforcement a chance to catch their breath and catch up to what's going on. every news agency wanted to portray it as him saying, immigration has to be stopped completely, blah, 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 blah.
And that's
blah,
not what he said.
That's not what he said. Hell, I said something
Or
worse.
what he meant.
No, exactly. But the left loves to spin that.
Can you picture Trump in the Oval Office? Sir, Assad just said that, or Iran just said that they're going to defeat the great Satan, which is America. Give me the launch codes.
No, actually, it would be turn on a microphone. Turn on the camera now. Well, sir, shouldn't we turn them on?
Turn them on. Sir, do you want a speech prepared? Nope.
Nope. Ladies and gentlemen of America, it's just come to my attention that the leader of Iran, boop, 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 has called us the great Satan. Boop, boop, boop. In about 22 minutes, we'll never hear from that again. Next problem. Yeah, he might be a little bit of a loose cannon. But guess what would stop? A lot of the BS. And he wouldn't have to ever really push the button. Just by walking into office.
All he would have to do is order a massive bombing campaign.
Yes.
Do like what we did to Gaddafi, what Reagan did to Gaddafi.
Hey, Muammar.
And all that anybody in Iran would do is come to the UN and give crazy speeches. And rent the entire Central Park and set up tents everywhere like Gaddafi did. We never heard from that guy again.
It's weird, right? He went away forever. And everyone's talking in the chat room, and I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to get my points out, and you guys are having great chat. It's awesome, actually. But one of the things, and Dan Butcher just brought it up, and I agree with, is the Islamic leaders, so-called leaders in this country, are not denouncing this activity or remaining silent, or in some ways kind of supporting it.
Right after the San Bernardino incident,
CARE came out.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny because the government had called it Islamic terrorist, but CARE was like,
yeah.
So
This is not reflective of who we are.
Even
blah, blah,
they
blah, blah.
knew.
Right?
And they're the biggest deniers on the face of the planet.
Right.
Well, apparently not. That would make it the administration.
Right.
And then CARE. But that's why Trump's message is resonating with a lot of people, because nobody else is speaking out against it. Nobody else is saying, hey, this is a Muslim and Islamic problem.
Extremist problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also their community's problem.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And he's not afraid to say that.
And self-policing.
Right. There's no not like Sharia self-policing.
No, right. That's a totally different issue.
Let's be cautious about when we use self-policing.
Ooh, now what if a segment of the community agreed to waive their constitutional rights, including their Eighth Amendment, and to inflict stoning under Sharia law as a form of punishment?
If they're true believers, then they would do that.
Right.
Take punishment that comes from their book.
Right.
Even if we consider it cruel and unusual.
Waive all your constitutional rights.
Right, because if you're a true believer, you're on board.
Right. Hey, you don't get a trial by jury because you waived your constitutional rights. We have this form, sign it on file.
Mm-hmm.
And when we run your name, it came up and it hasn't been rescinded. One thing I saw that surprised me this week, did you see that Sergeant Bo Bergdahl?
Yes.
He's actually going to have a trial by court-martial?
Yes. Well, and here's why. You know as well as I do, that trial will probably be over next January.
Yeah, but
after this administration's gone.
Right, but I'm surprised that they're even going to do that, because there was a lot of speculation that he was not going to have charges filed because of the political implications.
They can't, and here's why.
That shows that there was, I believe, so much evidence
yes,
showing that he was a dirtbag.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes.
That they had no choice.
And they were
because if there was any way to wiggle out of it,
they would have.
They would have.
Without a doubt would have.
They would have. But they're like, we can't.
Well, and again, you look at his heritage. Look at his parents standing with the president at the White House.
With the president.
With the president. Not even Joe.
He's a hero.
Yes.
Served his country with honor.
Yes.
And distinction.
Helped the other side. And I'll say to the day I die, I believe he helped the other side. You look at his heritage. You look at what daddy is, mommy is. I believe he fell into becoming a true believer. And I say fell in because I think it's a weak-minded act where you just want to, for whatever reason, push the other side, the evil. You either think you're protecting them or whatever, but they get caught up into it. More on the I can't believe this actually happened front. The FBI came out today, and actually the military will now be issuing Purple Hearts for those involved in the Chattanooga, Tennessee shooting, even the guys that shot back.
Because an act of terror.
Yeah. Was determined by the FBI. They are actually, and people may, it's funny, this is what this administration loves to do. People at the time assumed it was an act of terror, but it was never officially determined to be an act of terror.
Right.
Until the last few days.
This administration does not like admitting acts of terror occur here in the homeland.
They admitted that he was terrorist-inspired, i.e. he is a terrorist, and that his act were on behalf of extremist values, i.e. ISIS, and that's why he attacked the recruiting station and the base in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So you have it yet again. But here's what they do is they stretch it out so far in between that you don't make that correlation in your head.
It's a blurb on the news.
And it shows up on page 4.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, the last terrorist act, and I know we're still talking about the one from 2 weeks ago, but the last big terrorist act in which a jihadi showed up at a military base and started firing, that was terrorism too.
Fort Hood number 1?
Well, I can't believe that a family member has not sued and won to have that be determined to be terrorism.
It has been now.
It has been officially.
Yeah.
So now the government...
Yeah. Fort Hood number 1 was an act of terror.
Right. Major Hassan.
Yeah. And
Major asshole.
It's been deemed an act of terror at this point.
When did that come over? Because I didn't even see that.
That was a while ago.
So that tells you how they love to just kind of push that. Again, see something, say something. You had a whole bunch of members in the military petrified to say something that Hassan was spreading his Islamic extremist values and thoughts to people. They all knew he was a problem. I said this before. Homeland Security and the feds were watching him and reading his emails to Anna Alawaki, and people died because people were afraid to say something. Again, another example of see something, say something is dangerous. So...
It took 6 years for the administration to call Fort Hood number 1 an act of terror, but they confirmed it.
Interesting. And yet...
So there's a news article from cnsnews.com dated December 7th that actually talks about it.
Interesting. So it took 6 years. So 6 years from now...
Well, he really can't shy away from the San Bernardino attack, and he already called it terror in his address because he had no choice but to.
No choice.
He had no choice to. But
where is he with the Chattanooga thing right now? Why isn't he coming in front of a microphone saying, "Hey, I want to tell the American people."
How long did it take him to respond to San Bernardino?
Yeah.
After it was determined to be terror, did he come out and address the nation?
5 days.
Was he a leader?
No, but funny, Freddie Gray.
We're at war.
He was quick to come out for that one.
He was quick to come out for all of those.
It's funny when they passed the environmental reform in France a couple days ago, where all the nations agreed. He was on the air an hour later, talking about what a wonderful thing it was.
Yeah.
An hour later. You know what's funny is there's a video out there. If you Google it, just Google Ronald Reagan Libya address. As the planes were coming back, he took the airwaves and informed the American people what were going on.
Yep.
And what was happening and why. He made no bones about it. Even back then, and that was, 84, 86? He talked about terrorism across the world and how America would not allow terrorists to spread no matter where they were, and we would act together with allies or independently if we had to. And that we would hunt down terrorists all over the world. We
also had a 6th Fleet at that time.
We did have a 6th Fleet at that time. But identified a madman regime, and took action. and didn't care about the international community, the international norm. He actually cited where it was legal in the United Nations Charter. And now we have a president that is so afraid to come out when the military does something good or something bad happens and call it what it is. And I know we'll never find the next Reagan. We'll never see a Reagan again. I hate to say it.
Which is sad.
Which is very, very sad. But he was he was very much an individual. But when we look at Trump, when we look at Bernie, and we look at how people are viewing politicians, they're looking for honesty, even if they don't like what that person has to say. And I point back to Ronald Reagan. There were a lot of people who weren't happy that he bombed Libya.
Mm-hmm.
But
they respected the fact that he came out and addressed the nation.
Amen, baby.
He didn't sugarcoat it. He
Amen,
didn't make
baby.
excuses.
And he had reason.
He didn't hide.
And he gave evidence.
Yep.
And he wasn't afraid of the American people.
Nope. He was a leader.
He respected them enough to stand in front of them and say, this is what's going on. And what he said about the people involved in the operation, to the men and women involved in the operation, it is an honor to be your commander-in-chief. Sums everything up you need to know about that man.
Yep.
And then we look at what we have now, and you wonder why when people talk about Reagan, like I do all the time, as being this, it's because we need that back. This country needs that back to be able to heal from the fractures that the leftists have created like crazy.
And I don't know that, like you said, I don't think we're gonna get that back, as sad as it is. But Reagan was able to unite our country. Look, I mean, he won every state except what, one?
Yeah. And I think they were closed that day. Hey, folks, that's it here for the Sackheads Radio Show. We are live on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you check out our great friends. First of all, HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Editor-in-Chief Dan Butcher, that's his website. Make sure you check him out. We have broadcasted as a guest this evening on his site. He helped us out. I greatly appreciate it. I'm Pleasant Blind Guy, RFB Radio, Cal Fritzy, Jersey Joe, Reverb Common Sense, and so many other great shows that are right here on the SHR Media Network. Bill Martinez. I can go on, but I'm out of time. We will
Sackhead
see you,
Sean.
Sackhead Clint. We will see you next Wednesday. It's our Christmas special.
It is our Christmas special. I wonder if Santa Claus is going to drop by.
We may have a visit from Santa. You never know. Thank you guys so very much. Have a great week, and God bless.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.